So this lesson that I'm going to review is from Chapter 3, Lesson 2, and we talked about the place value of decimals. So I have this number here, 1.726. I want to kind of assign every number a specific place value. So I might use one of these place value charts to help me figure out where to put this number. So my decimal point is right here on my place value chart, so I know that that's where this decimal point is. So if I kind of line this up, it's going to help me out. So I know that this number right here is a whole number, and that would be my 1. So I'm going to write my 1 in the 1's place value. Now this number right after the decimal point is my 10ths place value. So I'm going to put that in my 10ths place value spot. The 2 is located in the hundredths place value position, and the 6 is located in the thousandths place value position. So the 1 is 1 whole, the 7 is 7/10ths, the 2 is 200ths, the 6 is 6/1000ths. So how I read this decimal is I read it like a normal number in front of the decimal point. I say 1, the decimal point, the word for that is and then this part right here I read like a normal number. 726, and then I give whatever place value this last number is in, and that'd be the thousandths. So this number is 1 and 726 thousandths. Now, if I have this decimal, I can write it a few different ways. The first way I can do is standard form, which is what this is. This is considered standard form. Just writing the decimal in numbers. That is standard form. The next form is word form. So word form is just writing what you are saying. So I'm saying 1 and 726, and I need to put the place value of the last number, which is thousandths. When we are in decimal world, we add a THS to tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. That's how we know that this is a decimal. Now, my last form to write this number out is expanded form. And how I write it in expanded form, I'm going to actually use multiplication to help me write this number out. So I'm going to start with the 1. I'm saying 1 times whatever that place value is. So that is in the 1's place value. So I'm saying 1 times 1 plus 7 is my next number. And I'm going to multiply that by the tenths. Well, because we're in the decimal world, we're actually also in the fraction world, because we're part of a whole now. So now I'm saying this is 1/10. And I'm going to now go to my next number, which is the 2. And I'm going to say 2 times, well, this is located in the hundredths. And since I'm in decimal world, I'm writing that as a fraction. That would be 1/100 plus my last number is 6. And I know that this 6 is located in the thousandths. So I'm going to turn this into 1/1000. So you have 3 forms for writing your decimal. You have standard form, you have word form where you're actually writing out what you're saying, and you have expanded form where we are stretching out each place value in the number. Let's do another problem together. This time, let's use the decimal 2 and 35 hundredths. If I were to put that back on to a place value chart, I have my 1s, my decimal point, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Kind of hard to see. 1s and tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So if I'm going to split that up and write that out, I know my 2 is in the 1's place value. My decimal point is saying and. This 3 is in the tenths because it's right after the decimal point. And my 5 is in the hundredths. So when I read this decimal, I'm actually saying 2 and I read this together, 35, and I say the place value, the last number, hundredths. So let's do our 3 different forms for writing out this decimal. This is called standard form, writing the decimal the way it is. That's standard form. Word form is writing the words for each specific number. So I'm going to say 2 and, because decimal points always say the word and then I read this together like a normal number, 35, and I write the place value of the last number, which is hundredths. And remember, in decimal world, we end with a THS. Now, when I put this into expanded form, which is my 3rd form, I'm going to now stretch out each number. So I'm starting with my 2, and I'm multiplying it by its place value. This 2 is in the 1's place value, so I'm going to write 2 times 1, plus, move to the 3, 3 times. I'm saying in my head, what place value is this 3 in? The 3 is located in the 10ths place value. So in decimal world, we write it as 1 over 10. And now I'm moving to the 5. 5 times, what place value is this 5 in? It's in hundredths. So we put it over 1 over 100. Now, if I wanted to write the specific value of a number, if I had a question that said, what is the value of this 3? Well, if I want to know what the value of the 3 is in this decimal, I'm going to take my 3, put my decimal point in front of it. Everything else around it turns into a 0 to represent what that value is. If I wanted to know what the 5 was, the value of that 5, I would write the 2 turns into a 0, decimal point, the 3 turns into a 0, and the 5 turns into a 5. But it's isolating each number and telling me the specific value of that digit.